Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about yet another Pokemon registration website that went live and did not work. The disaster that was the Pokemon Center registration for the world's Pokemon Center store. We will talk about some additional thoughts following up from what we spoke about last week on next season's structure because the new season has officially begun. We will, of course, have everyone's favorite segments of the podcast, Guess That Flavor Text. And then we're going to wrap up this week by talking about some of the new cards that have been revealed over the last few weeks. It has been a while since we've talked about some of the new cards. So we're going to catch back up. It does seem like there's more still coming, a couple of A-Spec cards that have not yet been revealed exactly what they do. So lots of exciting things on the horizon here with the Pokemon TCG. And then, of course, we will have our weekly bonus episode over on the Patreon. If you want to get a little bit of extra content from myself and Azul every single week and also support us here, best place to do it is over on Patreon, patreon.com/uncommon energy podcast. My name is Chip Ritchie, joined here as always by my friend and co-host, Azul GG. What's up, Azul? How we doing? How was your week, bud?
It was pretty good, Chip. I've been really liking this flow I've kind of settled into that we've had this break between NAIC and Worlds, and it's making me kind of rethink my plans for this season a little bit. To be honest, coming up, I was kind of all gung ho to like go to as much as possible, but it does look like that's going to be like a lot of events. Like theoretically, if I went to like everything could besides like special events for this year to the end of this year, it would be like 8 or 9 majors. And that's a lot in like 4 or 5 months. So though I'm now that I've been like getting into this content flow and really enjoying it. On top of that, also just like um, to be more consistent with my my workout regimen and my diet and stuff like that. I think I've already lost like 10 pounds since NAIC, and I've been like it's felt great when going to the gym consistently. I wake up every morning feeling great. Like I haven't felt this way in a while. So it really is like all the travel that puts that wear and tear and that kind of stress on life a little bit. I love competing, of course, but it's definitely made me rethink things a little bit going into next season. Got to figure out what I really want to do. But I've been loving the content grind lately. I've been absolutely loving it, and just kind of being able to be in on schedule with everything, from the content to working out and being consistent with life. So really good week overall. Yeah, really good
Dang,
week, but
that's
has me
sweet, man.
questioning the future
Yeah.
uh, for next season a little bit. But what about you, Chip? What were you up to? How was your week?
It's good. Yeah, I got back from vacation end of last week. But coming back from vacation, Brooke brought back some sort of sickness with her. She's been kind of gunked up, and then unfortunately, Samuel got sick today. He had a pretty tough day, but he's feeling a lot better towards the end of the night. So hopefully, he'll be having a pretty good day tomorrow. But yeah, a little kid being sick is definitely not fun. He got plenty of rest and time to chill. We read lots of books today, and he was he was definitely not feeling great, especially this morning, but hopefully we'll be feeling better tomorrow. And hopefully, it didn't hit me, whatever Brooke brought back with her from vacation. I didn't get sick. Hopefully, it doesn't transfer from her to Samuel to me. Hopefully it just stays away and I'll be all right. But I haven't felt any symptoms or anything yet. But yeah, traveling, that's another part about traveling too. You're just around a lot of people, airports, conventions, wherever it is you're
Yep.
at, right? Easy to pick up some crud to come home with, get a little sick every once in a while. Um, that's
Yeah.
just the nature of being around a bunch of people, I feel like.
Yeah, I had a couple of those last season where I'd like get back and want to, immediately the next day get into content. I usually like take one day off when I get back because I have to like, laundry, chores, whatever, catch up around the house, whatever I need to get done, meal prep for the week. And then it's like I wake up the next day and I'm sick. And I'm like, bruh. Like
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know for sure it's coming. I that like one day, yeah, like I feel fine or I feel a little bit worn out from traveling back, but then it hits you on that next morning and it just feels really, really bad. And then you lose like another couple days, half a week before getting back to the grind. But
And then you have a tournament the next weekend as well. Like,
yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. I had a couple of those whereas I was sick immediately when I got back from a trip and I was like, "All right, well, I'm just gonna rest, recover, because I do have a tournament the next weekend, make sure I'm feeling good enough to actually go to that, or if not, then I guess I'd have to call it off." But it didn't end up happening last season at all, so that was good. But
speaking of tournaments, I saw you have something kind of cool coming up. You want to talk about that before we get into the episode, really?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna be flying out to Utah, streaming and commentating a couple cups for Game Grid. So I'm excited to do that, do a little commentating action. Um, and I guess I'll be they've got like a bunch of streaming equipment stuff over there, so I'm gonna have to like piece together a rig for me to stream from. But it's almost like made me think about like what if I like put together like the equipment I need to be able to like pack it all in a suitcase and then go like stream a local tournament. I'd be like, that's like an idea I had with this kind of coming up. I'm not gonna get any of that done before
Yeah, that's a
going
whole big
here.
path to go down.
Yeah, but then I'd be able to
That's
like,
a
but
very
then I'd be like my
expensive
own.
journey to go down for, like, a couple of tournaments a year, you know? I feel like if you wanna commit to that, that's gotta be like you're gonna be planning to do it a lot, which would be really cool because I think
Yeah,
uh that's something that I used to do, like, back before I even got like asked to commentate officially. People ask like if I want to get into casting, like what do I need to do? The very first things I did is I went to my local league cups and league challenges, and I set up a not even a webcam. I set up a camcorder, recorded the games, came back home, did post commentary on them, and uploaded them to YouTube. I think that type of stuff is super cool, and you don't see. I feel like you see less locals being broadcast now, and a lot of times I'll see like someone tweet out a local stream, and it's just music with like the gameplay happening, and it's just like not, I don't know, that's not interesting to watch. Like I want to at least hear the players talk or a commentator ideally, I think.
yeah. I know Mellow Magikarp. I think he started playing in more of them, but he used to have a pretty good thing going at Tabletop
He
Village.
did, yeah.
They had some pretty high decent quality streams, and he would do, like, player interviews and commentating. Yeah, there definitely needs to be it's hard to watch the just kinda the gameplay with the music. I like tuning into those myself and kinda, like, restreaming them when they happen.
Yeah,
But, of course, like, the quality of a lot of them is rough sometimes as well, and you don't need very much to have, like, a pretty decent quality stream these days.
there's
You need very little.
a store near us that
Um
they stream like all of their tournaments just on their channel, on their like they have their Magic and
Yeah.
other card games and stuff happening. Um, and they just have the player mics brought through. And I think that's like an okay solution. I think that's definitely better
Yeah.
than just having music being played. I think having a commentator is the best solution. And dude, there's so many people that like I mean, there was a while where when I was like competing a lot in like 2017, 2018, whatever cup I went to, if I wasn't recording it, there was someone else there who was like recording it for something to be posted on YouTube. And I don't feel like I see that as much anymore.
Yeah, I even remember, like, speaking of that, like, that's what the Top Cut used to do, is they would
Yeah.
record regionals, and then they would have, one of them, one of the 4 was it 4 or 5 at the end? I don't even remember. 4 or 5 of them, they would, like, just have one person, like, commentate over the games, post-tournament. It wasn't live streamed or anything, it was just, like, recording and then commentate over later.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is definitely, I feel like, a lack of that. I was doing it a little bit when I lived in Indianapolis for one of the card shops. I did all their cups and challenges. And then or 2 of the stores, I think towards the end there, I was doing all the cups and challenges for, like, 2 of the stores. There's not much of that going on. I mean, it's hard. It's, you're kind of usually it's like the people who are that passionate about the game are also, wanna compete for the championship points,
Right.
but I think what you said is, like, what you said, like, your path was where it's like, that's where you started learning to get not just maybe to get your name out there for commentating, but get better at commentating, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think some people and I know there are people in the space who lean towards that with either casting, online tournaments when they get the chance or stuff like that. Like you very much like you need to put in the work. Like we're not at the point where you there is like enough stepping stones up there to be able to make it easier for you. It's literally you have to put in the work to make yourself known, and then you get to, like, do the official stuff, but there's no, like, under leagues or, like, under stuff to be able to for you to really consistently compete. You have to, like, make your own space. I think Hagster would be a great example of that, right? Did his own online tournament series. He casted every single week, got his name out there. You have to put in that level of work if you wanna be,
Yeah.
recognized to be able to, like, become a commentator. I know there's a lot of people who want that would love to be able to like commentate officially for Pokemon, but you really got to put in the work. You have to do that Hagster level of work to really achieve that. So a good way to do that, to be honest, would be to start streaming your local cups and challenges. And I think it's really easy to do too. Like the stores probably are down to do it. They probably don't do it already. You just gotta talk to them, network a little bit with local game stores.
Yeah.
And like I said, doing a decent quality stream, it's not that expensive right now. Like getting an okay camera or just using your phone and then getting an okay mic, $100 if you have a laptop. If not, that would be the biggest expense. But I remember when I did it in Indianapolis, I brought my whole computer with me. Like,
Yeah.
I unplugged everything, brought it with me, brought a monitor, um,
Yeah,
and set it up that way.
I don't think I ever live streamed a cup. I think I always did recording, and, like, this was back in, like well, the first time I did it probably would have been in, like, 2016, maybe yeah, it probably would have been 2016, some time frame, and that was probably a little bit before, like, the camera quality on iPhones was, like, really good enough to
Yeah,
be doing that, but nowadays, if you have, like, a newer generation iPhone or Android camera or Android phone, the majority
yeah.
of the cost of those things is the camera, like, that's, like, the,
Mhm.
big reason as to why the phones are so expensive is because of how nice and good the cameras are, so if you can get a cheap desk side clamp. I think one of the things I would say is try to find a way to get a setup that doesn't lead to the camera shaking every single time someone touches the table.
Yeah. Don't
That's
put the tripod on the table. If you can
yeah,
mount it to
yeah,
a wall or get a taller tripod, you
yeah,
can put next to the table, but not on the table. And like I said, work with the stores, figure out like a space
yeah,
where you can consistently come back every morning before cups and challenges and replicate your setup over and over again. Or if they're a bigger store with like a little bit extra space, if they can like, give you like your own little spot consistently to work with to be able to like stream their content, pitch it to them as an advertising opportunity for them. Be like, we'll have your store logo, on the stream. We'll shout you out. Make sure that people know that
yeah. You don't
you're
even
the
have to
store.
honestly like. Most of them probably just don't care. Like they're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah. But
if
if
you
yeah,
want
if
to
you need to pitch
record,
a little bit,
sure, why not?
yeah. But yeah, don't be afraid to sell it a little bit to them to have them help you out a little bit to get things moving. But it's definitely that's definitely a big opportunity, not just in terms of content. If you're someone out there who wants to be starting to make some Pokemon content, or if you are a content creator, streamer, YouTuber, and you're looking for something else to do, that would be something to do for sure. And then on top of that, if you are if you want to cast Pokemon events officially, like you have to put in the work. This would be a great avenue to put in the work. Besides that, I think online tournaments is like the next best thing to do is start running an online tournament or start commentating one of the already bigger online tournaments that's going on. But those
Yeah.
are like the avenues I think that are available right now. But yeah, I'll be casting these league cups or league cup this weekend in Salt Lake City, Utah. So if you're out there and you want to say what's up, you see me, uh, feel free.
It's the
But make
only
sure you
way they
tune
can
in
get
the
Azul to come to a league cup.
yeah, as if I can stream it. Um, but yeah, I'll be streaming that this weekend.
Cool. Looking forward to checking it out. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the rest of the episode here this week. And our first topic is about the Pokemon Center at the World Championships. Now, for those who don't know, at the major tournaments, at the large tournaments every year, most recently it's been, I guess it's really just been at EUIC, NAIC, and then Worlds. They typically do a pop up Pokemon Center where you can buy items that are exclusive to that event and then also Pokemon Center items that you normally can only buy online. So it's a good way to see some stuff in person, maybe that's from the Pokemon Center, like play mats or t-shirts and stuff like that. But then also there's tons of exclusive stuff. And especially at Worlds, the exclusive stuff is a big, big deal. And it seems like the way they're handling the reservations this year is similar to what they did for NAIC. They did tweet out today on the Play Pokemon Twitter or X that reservations for the 2024 World's Pokemon Center store are now available. Get your spot now for the opportunity to purchase exclusive merchandise via the link below. And if you look in the comments, you'll see most people complaining about how the website did not work.
Yeah, did not well, okay, so it didn't not work. You just had to sit on the so after you selected, you see this tweet from Jesse. After you clicked on a time after selecting a date, the little whatever clock thing would just
Pinwheel.
spin. But if you leave it for like 20, 30 minutes, you'll get through eventually. This is the same thing for the NAIC one. So it is consistent, but you just have to wait. You like if you keep refreshing over and over and over, like if you're not going to get anywhere. But if you just click a time and then wait, you'll eventually get in. That's what I saw someone mention for the NAIC one, and that's how I finally got into the scheduling a time for the Pokemon Center for NAIC. So going into this one, I just once I saw this one live, I clicked the time, and then it eventually let me through and gave me my time slot I picked. So it is like not obvious and frustrating to deal with and shouldn't be how the process goes. But yeah, there was like I guess it wasn't a fix. I mean, it's probably just because there's so many people trying to get through. That's why it was like taking forever. But like, yeah, it feels like why is this the process again for back to back events? Did they not try and change anything from NAIC to Worlds? Like, why is there always a fiasco with anything
Yeah,
new?
how did they see what happened at NIC and they were like, "Yeah, run it back. Why not?"
Yeah. I think another thing to mention with this as well is that competitors. This is the first time ever competitors aren't guaranteed
I think last year was the first
spots.
time ever competitors were guaranteed a slot.
Oh, really?
I
At the Pokemon Center?
I think so.
Maybe this is the only time it's ever mattered. Like this is Pokemon. I think feel like Pokemon Worlds as an
I
event, a
definitely
spectacle.
remember it not being that big of a deal to get into the Pokemon Center the years that I
London.
qualified and played and
Well, no,
went.
there were you definitely needed a time slot at London. Because I remember
Yeah, I didn't
needing
go
a
to that
time
one.
slot. But I don't know if you could as if there was a reserved for competitors. But at Japan there was, right? There was a competitor.
Yes.
Yeah, because you got to go from registration. You like showed up, checked in, went to the Pokemon Center, but because the check-in line took so long, I got like a wristband to go in the next day, and other competitors did as well. Um, yeah. And I guess, like, prior to that, it probably just wasn't as big of a deal, but Pokemon Worlds since London, like, last year and now this year has gotten so much bigger and so much more, I don't know, hype. There's so many more people trying to go, especially to stuff like the Pokemon Center. I think that's a big draw if you're going to the World Championships as a competitor or a spectator. Wanting to go to the Pokemon Center is a big deal. Um, I guess it definitely kind of feels bad as a competitor to not, like, get a guaranteed slot, but I don't think it's, like, that hard to get a time slot to begin with, to be honest. Like, if you just go schedule
Yeah.
one, you should be good.
If you go now to schedule one, like, if you're just hearing this and you're like, "Oh, no, I missed out. I didn't hear about this." It's pretty easy now to go in and get a time. You're just all of the Wednesday times are sold out, right? But if you
Yeah,
wanna go any other time throughout the weekend, anytime in the afternoon Thursday, and then there's tons of times on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like all throughout the day available. So you
yeah,
can definitely still get a slot. I think part of the problem for a lot of people is the fact that a lot of this stuff is like very exclusive and oftentimes there's very limited quantities of things as
yeah.
well. Like I know last year the like jacket
Was
was a
that
big hot thing, the
Yeah,
backpack was a big hot thing, and those both sold out really, really fast.
yeah.
So if you
I
went,
know
like, 2 hours after it opened, you didn't get one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who's, like, worried about the later days, it is, like I'm pretty sure what they do and what is, like, standard practice is, like, there is quantities of everything for every single day. So if you don't go till Sunday, if you get in Sunday morning, there will still be stuff like that is, like, some of the exclusive stuff usually, like,
Not always. It's
not
definitely
always.
been a thing that they run out of stuff. So, like, there's some things, like, I think the skateboards are limited to, like, 250, and then once
They
they're
didn't
gone, they're
save some for
gone.
every day?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Alright, that was my understanding of how this kinda stuff works, but this is, like, not something that is a big deal for me, uh, personally. But yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely say if this is a big deal to you, you definitely wanna try and get one of the morning time slots on one of the days. The earlier day, the better, for sure. Um,
I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw someone theorize that, like, since we're in Hawaii, maybe there will be, like, a Pokemon themed ukulele at the Pokemon Center. I think that would be super dope. I hope that that is
be
the
super dope,
case.
and they're all gonna be
I
sold
think that
out.
those type of things are the coolest worlds merchandise things that it's just
Like the
like,
guitar picks from
yeah,
Nashville.
yeah, I've got those on my shelf right there. The guitar picks from Nashville, the bandana from Nashville, I think is cool too. Goes with like the country theme, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Anything that's just like unique to that place. I think those are the coolest things. I did see someone tweet, I'll see if I can find it, something about um there's like a beach ball or something like that that people who check out at the Pokemon Center are gonna get. Did you see this
Oh, yeah,
tweet?
I saw that, yeah. I saw that
Oh, who
tweet.
tweeted it?
I saw
Shoot.
Rahul's reply to it,
All right,
or
I'll go.
Rahul retweeted it. It was like, "Don't litter these in the ocean," or something. Yeah, if you take them to the beach with you, don't leave them at the beach. Bring them
Yeah.
home or dispose of them responsibly.
Yes, so dispose of them responsibly. Or, don't dispose of them because they're a pretty sweet beach ball. Yeah, here it is. Joe
Yeah,
Merrick tweeted it. Special Worlds, a special beach ball is given as a special bonus for purchases at the World's Pokemon Center.
that's cool.
It's pretty
They've done
cool.
all I feel like the beach ball, like, I don't know why, like, the beach ball, I feel like is like a thing in Pokemon where it's like, I don't know, people are always like where does this even come from? I feel like I have nostalgia with, like, because like, the ones that were, like, Pokeballs and stuff, people would always be like, especially I remember, like, at nationals back in the day, people would be playing with them in the hallways and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, they used to give those out at tournaments.
Yeah. This makes a
Uh,
little bit we are going to the beach, so having a beach ball makes sense besides that,
sure.
of course. There'll be many beaches,
Yeah, here
and
you
I
go.
in fact, if you just walk straight long enough, you'll probably end up on the beach every single time.
2006 Pokemon Organized Play. Look at that old Pokemon Organized
Yeah,
Play
those are the
logo.
ones.
Yep.
Those are the ones.
But yeah, Pokemon Center stuff.
See, the one
Having
reason
problems, not really too big of a surprise. Definitely a bit of a bummer though. But it does seem like I think it does seem almost like the issue is just like this mass initial demand, right? This like
yeah,
massive traffic to the site right whenever the times drop.
and maybe that's
Is
just, like,
really what slowed it down because it like seems like it's working fine now. Like I could go make a time slot for whenever.
yeah, maybe that's just, like, reasonable, though, like, to expect in the initial load ups of stuff. I don't know. It's hard to say for sure, like, if it should, operate that way or not, but I don't know, like, I like, for people who go to, like, concerts and stuff, like, for, like, really popular artists, when concert tickets go on sale, what is that process? I don't even know what that looks like, to be honest. I haven't tried to register or get a ticket for something besides for a non-Pokemon event in so long of something that, like, has the potential to sell out that I don't even know what the rest of the processes in the world look like, to be honest. So maybe this is just standard practice, like, or it's like not standard practice, but like standard operation for just things in general. Like if there's just that many people who are trying to sign up for one thing at one time, there's nothing you can really do about it.
That's
It's
yeah.
gonna slow down. Like that just might be the way things are. Let us know in the comment section down below for people who go to more things than just Pokemon events that sell out fast. Does this happen all the time?
Well, on last week's episode, we did break down all of our thoughts on the next season structure. So if you missed that and kind of want to hear some of our general overarching opinions on the structure, feel free to check out last week's episode. But one thing that we didn't talk about that I think, because we recorded our episode a little bit earlier in the week than normal, we still released it on Wednesday morning. But this had not come out by the time we recorded our episode, is this information from a Japanese player where apparently players from the Pokemon Company regions, so TPC regions, players in Asia, China, Japan, Korea, can get earn Worlds invitations if they come to another TPCI region and get a win at an IC or a regional. So they can earn those automatic invites.
Yeah, so top 4 at the ICs or winning a regional, and that wasn't true for this season. So even if a regional or an IC had been won by a player, or I guess finals of an IC from this season, now top 4 of ICs next season.
Yeah, I
Um,
really just wish that we could get on some sort of a global
yeah,
setup.
it is weird because like,
Like,
why not
the
just
worst example of this is Kaito Arai,
yeah,
who has, like, 800 championship points, had a great season, one of the best seasons,
mhm,
realistically, earned $22,000 competing. Um, does not have a
YC
Worlds
top 8s.
invitation, does not have an invite to Worlds because
Yeah.
he didn't get his invite through Japan's system.
Yeah, and Japan system is, like, so it's just, like, so weird and RNG based, like, it's so much harder to express your skill in Japan and actually walk away with your Worlds invite over there. Some great players are still getting their Worlds invite, and there are other players who are not as known of players, but, like, it's so hard to be consistent over there because of their structure. Um, and it feels a little weird, I guess. I mean, at least they can earn their Worlds invite over here by winning a regional or a special event and then top fouring an IC. But like you said, Kato got 800 championship points. I mean, I guess like it would be hard, like because they'd have to set like a championship point number for those players going into the season for
Well, or they could just adopt
region.
we could just adopt some form of a global system, right?
Of course,
That's
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
where I was going with it, like, Japan adopts the championship point system, or we adopt a system similar to what Japan has. I think that would be the worst solution, to be honest, but, um
Yeah, adopting Japan's system would not be good. I think I'd rather say stay separate than do that because, like I just mentioned, there's a lot of flaws with Japan's system.
and it feels like Japan could adapt to what we have pretty easily. I mean, they have their city leagues, which are effectively league cups, right? They
Yep.
have the, uh what are they
They have
called?
they have gym battles, which are like they don't get any points from them, but they're like almost like it seems like they're like sanctioned locals for the most part.
Turn those into
Um,
challenges.
yeah, and then they have the um, what are they called? Champions Leagues, which are
Champions Leagues, yeah.
they only have like 4 of those throughout the year. So they're a little bit more like their IC level events, I guess, than kind of like regionals, just based on like the size of them. But it is just Japan who gets to
Well,
compete in those.
what they could do is, like, those are just regionals in Japan, and then they
Yep.
make the, number of invites they want to have for Japan, like, subsequent to, like, compared the number of regionals or whatever they have over there, and then we add back a 4th IC, put it in Japan.
Yeah,
That's a pretty
replace
cool
the
solution if you ask
re-
me.
replace the Japan Championships with that. That'd be good.
Yeah,
Would I mean, would we still be not be able to go over there and play in their tournaments, or would just all come together at that point, right? It would just all come together, right?
that's what I'm saying, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It would
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean,
be a global
that would be
circuit.
ideal. I someone now I don't know how much truth there is to this, but this would be like a step, I guess, towards that a little bit. Someone said, I don't know if they were saying it as if they thought it might happen, that like Japan might be playing best 2 out of 3 next season. I forget where I saw it, and I don't know if they were saying it as like they knew that that was gonna happen, or if they were like, that's what people want to happen. But I mean, if that does happen, and from what I can tell, most of the Japanese players, especially on the more competitive players, want best 2 out of 3. Um, I mean, that'd be like a step towards us getting closer to playing the same system, right? One step closer. I don't know if it's gonna be I don't know if that's a big tell of anything, but yeah, there really makes no sense for us to not be on the same page as far as everything goes, and hopefully that we do get there at some point. I mean, I guess with that, which would be another plus, we'd have to be on global release for sets.
That's true, yeah.
It always
And that
comes
could
back
be
to
one of the
that.
biggest hurdles, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that would be one of the biggest things because we have to but I don't like okay, so we say that, but Pokemon cards, like Pokemon cards are printed way in advance from when the set drops. Like there was leaked cards of the now fully revealed like Terrapagos like months ago,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like the cards were printed for a while. And also like Japan knows what they're printing way before they print it. They just have to give it to us and translate it to us so we can start printing it in English. Like I don't think it's as big of a hurdle as people seem to make it out to be whenever I bring this topic up. Like I don't think it can't there's no way it's that big of a hurdle to get us to have all of the cards printed and ready to go to release at the exact same time as each other. It doesn't seem like that
Yeah.
should be and also because 'cause we've done it. We did it with Obsidian Flames and Paradox Rift. Like, it was 1 week and 2 weeks for those 2 sets, between Japan's release and our release, or 1 week and 3 weeks or something. Not multiple months, though. So, I don't know. It seems pretty reasonably possible. I don't see why it would be such a
One
big
thing that
deal.
could possibly be weighing into this that I don't know how many people consider is I'm pretty sure there is like some sort of agreement in place between Pokemon and then like the big retailers of like delivering X new things per year in order to like maintain their shelf space or something like that. Like getting
Mm.
retail shelf space is generally a pretty difficult thing, especially for like the big stores, Target, Walmart, and stuff like that. So
Has
like if
has to
they
be.
have, like, a specific schedule they have to stick to, special set at the beginning of the year, main set, main set, main set, special set for the holidays, like, they have to stick to that if that's, like if they want to keep their products on shelves, right?
Sure, maybe it doesn't go the other way, though, and they want Pokemon products, and they're like, "Okay, when's the next Pokemon product? We'll take it." What way do you think it goes, you know? Like, is
Yeah,
it
it's
Target
true.
and Walmart that are like or is there, like, an understanding of it and, like, Pokemon's like, "This is what we're coming out with when," and they're like, "Okay, cool, we'll make sure we have shelf space for it."
Because also, to be fair,
Like, Pokemon's
the
pretty
counterpoint
big.
to that, it's like, even if a set is, like, a little old and they put it out on the shelf, it'll probably sell, right? Like and it's not like there's like Japan arguably gets stuff more frequently than we do, right? Or it's just like
Yeah,
more spread out. They
mhm,
have more mini sets that get combined for us into large sets, right?
yeah. It'd be definitely nice to know, like, what the reasoning behind not doing it is, or, like, what is the hiccup for, like, or are we moving towards that? I guess maybe something that is, like, a sign of that is EUIC date did get moved up, um, which does kind of fill the void of the lack of an OCIC going to this season that we didn't have that void get filled last season, but EUIC usually comes with rotation, right?
Right. That's been the thing
So
the last 2 seasons.
I'm hoping EUIC is not getting moved up and then rotation just happens after EUIC. That would be unfortunate. So we're hoping that is not the
Yeah, I think they've been pretty intentional with a lot of the scheduling of things, like, all of the ICs, this, like, past season, all 3 of the ICs were on set legality weekends, right?
yeah,
So
but
it's like
that's the way it's
that
been for
definitely is
years
playing into
now.
it, but then also at the same time, we have Baltimore that is happening the exact same weekend as a new set release,
Bro, they're
right?
still doing that. Like that makes no sense. Why not take it full advantage of like all your potential for like hype moments in the Pokemon TCG? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, there will
Like
be hype moments, it'll just be in Dortmund.
yeah, but it just like it takes away from Baltimore, it
Yeah.
takes away from the set release, like it splits up the hype.
Yeah,
There's
Baltimore,
just
I think, either needed to be 2 weeks later or 2 weeks earlier, right? And it couldn't
yeah,
really be 2 weeks earlier because then that's just 2 weeks after Worlds.
yeah. Ideally it's just like it should just be like Worlds, new set, couple weeks off, then we ramp up into the season. But it should be like there should be a break. There should be like a break point throughout the the seasons or throughout the season when the new set drops. Like it should be like new set drop, 2 weeks of no major events, I see. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
there shouldn't be any major events that like conflict with the weekend release of the new set. We should be building up more hype around the new set coming out. That should be like the focal point of Pokemon TCG competitive, like everything combined should just be focused on the new set release.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing is like I think the biggest the thing that gets hurt the most is the actual tournament in terms of like now, not in terms of, like, people who are showing up, but I feel like there's just, like I mean, when I'm a competitor
Well,
at some of these events when the set release, I just don't care that much, like, I'm like, "I'm playing the same format, I'm ready to, like, get done with this event and then go start playing the new set."
if there's a new set release this weekend of LAIC November 15th to 17th, then that means there will be 2 tournaments that happen in that time frame of the set being released, and it'll be, because then the set will come out 2 weeks before, right? Because 2 after 2 weeks is when it's legal. So that means Poland and the Buenos Aires, Argentina regionals will be or regional and special event will be in a format where there's a new set that's out, right?
Yeah, well, you won't catch me in Gdansk then for sure. I might go to Lille then. I might go to Lille, get back home, new set drops, stream the new set, and that's the thing as well, like, I don't know, it's like for I don't me but I guess, like, it's so weird because like, where I mean, the money in Pokemon is, like, so much geared towards, like, the collector side of things, like, that's where they're make most of their money as well, but it'd be really cool to see, um, the game be built out in more of a way where they try and grow the game as much as they can through all avenues, you know? But, like, yeah, because I would love to, like I don't know. For me and for, like, selfishly, I guess I come from, like, a pure content creator standpoint, so I'm like, how can I maximize content through the Pokemon TCG. And it's like I would love to restream Gdansk Poland and then also stream the new set, but they happen on the same weekend, so I can't do that. And like selfishly for me, it creates more content for me. But I'm also like all my content is literally just advertising for Pokemon. You know, like it just straight up is advertising for Pokemon. So it'd be nice to see like both of us working together to maximize the content. Like me trying to maximize it, TPCI trying to maximize it, not with me directly, but with the idea of like content creators in mind a little bit. Of course, like the biggest content creators in the Pokemon TCG, like more competitive playing the card game space. You know, it's like Mahone, with like I don't know, is he at like 100? Is he at 150,000 subscribers yet? You know, like in the grand scheme of like
Yeah.
numbers, that's not that big. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of there's people with like millions of subscribers who like open Pokemon packs and stuff. So at the end of the day, we're still kind of small fish, but it kind of sucks like from someone like me who's trying to like maximize content in the Pokemon space as much as I possibly can. So yeah, like those two events, like I don't know, like actually like the biggest thing is like people aren't going to really want to tune into those events because it's like the old format, old cards. Like I don't want to tune into those events and watch them personally either. Like I'm not going to tune into Gdansk because maybe like the finals is the only thing I'd care about tuning into. But if the new set's out, I'm just gonna be streaming the new set, and it like detracts away from that in kind of like a negative way. That's also a positive because the new set's out, but it's like I feel like we could try and line both of those up so we maximize the potential of both events, a major competitive event and the major event of a new set releasing. But they're always conflicting.
Yeah.
Was a
The missed
negative.
out potential is definitely a big I don't know, but maybe our visions of like what could be or not realistic, right? I feel like they are, but
I just feel like you could do like I just want to see them do something with these set release weekends. No major tournaments between the set release weekend and the IC. If they want to keep lining that up, which I think is a good way to line it up, right? But like have an invitational of like make that something to play for as well. Like what if you added that to like um the quarterly like the IC period things, like the top 16 players in each region get invited to an invitational, and it has nothing to do with championship points. They just put some money on the line. They stream the event. Like that would be sick, right? They play with the new cards. Like
Be
I
pretty
don't know.
cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Another thing to play for throughout the season as well, for the players to compete for is like to be able to play in those invitational events that Pokemon hosts, especially like if they put up some big prize money too, that'd be like pretty sick. Everyone would be kind of hyped to try and want to play in those and also like watch those. You get the best players in the world playing with the new cards and you get to watch it. Like that'd just be sick. Um, that's what I'd like to see like more of on that level. Maybe it's a little bit hard with BDCG Live's current state. So I don't know. We'll see how this year
Yeah.
treats BDCG Live, but maybe going to next season, get a spectator mode in the game, and then hey, it
I
sounds pretty easy from
definitely
there.
yeah, I think, like, the regional productions and, like, international productions have, like, grown so much the last couple years, and I think that's, like, obviously super important, like, focusing on that, like, competitive aspect of the game, but almost feel like, uh something like what you're talking about is, like, needed to push things forward, right? Some sort
Yeah,
of exhibition. I mean, and you were doing cool things like that with the show matches and stuff like that too. I think, like, anything similar to that that Pokemon would do would be insanely well received, and, like, the numbers would be insane. Like, I can't like, the regionals and stuff all do pretty good, right? And have continued to have steady growth over the last couple
yeah,
years, which is awesome. Is great to see. It's a good sign for the future of the competitive game. But, like, take like, just a regional field where like X, Y, and Z good players are playing, and you have a chance to see them. Like, people will tune in sporadically throughout the event, right? People come and go for those large events, right? But if you have some big exhibition where X, Y, and Z player are all playing and they all will be broadcast, right? Like, you're gonna get to see some of that. That's like what really would drive people and get people interested further. Because, like, I don't know, people storylines and players is what, like, drives audiences and drives people's, like, desire to, you know, keep up with the game and spectate, right?
yeah, yeah. You can even go like a step further and like fly out 16 players to TPCI headquarters, get a little studio set up in there and do like a little studio tournament, 16 players or something like that. Um, that would be like a little bit more expensive, obviously,
Yeah,
on their
sure.
end. But that would also be something that would be possible. Like that would also be like something good to do, especially like in maybe the I guess like one of the hiccups with that with PDCG Live is when the new set drops, there's sometimes some bugs with some of the new cards. So you definitely avoid that
Yeah,
by just like, having them be there in person. So yeah, I think it would just be like super good for the scene, the competitive wise, taking advantage of those new set releases, put something like that on every major set release. It's just 4 times throughout the year, just four show match exhibition type events, some of the best players in the world or some of the best players in the moment at the time in the season, showing off what the new cards are capable of. I think that would just be like it just sounds like a win all around. But instead, we got was it Gdansk on the same weekend of the set release? Still, never lucky.
maybe TCG Pocket will save us all, who knows?
maybe,
We're all gonna be
maybe,
competitive Pokemon TCG Pocket
maybe they'll
players.
just make enough money from TCG Pocket that they're like, all right, let's throw a couple more mil at PTCG Live or something like that. Like it's like we got the extra, we
Yeah.
got a little bit extra to work with here now. I
I
imagine that's
can't
gonna
wait
make
for
a
what
ton
the
of money.
brand confusion is gonna be. How many I'm so looking forward to when P TCG Pocket comes out, the increase in downloads TCG Live will receive and how the subsequent, poor reviews will follow.
Yeah.
This is not what was advertised.
It doesn't look at all like the trailer.
Yeah. That's going to happen, dude. That is, like, just 1000% going to happen. People are the, like, general consumer base, like, dude, people are just going to be confused. There are still so many people out there who have never heard of a Wii U, right? Like,
Yep,
oh, man.
it's true.
All right, well, let's move
Um,
on here.
I
We
was
got
gonna say,
everyone. Oh, one more thing.
well, if we're still talking about just kind of like season stuff in general, I mean, League Cups and League Challenges started up again,
Yep, yep.
and they're going after the big announcement. I understand like the frustrations. All that seems to have cooled off quite a bit. I mean, there's nothing we can really do at the end of the day, right? Like they did it, it's set. They did. Pokemon was nice and tweeting out, hey, send the constructive criticism our way. I think Play Pokemon tweeted it or Pokemon tweeted it, I forget, but they were basically like, hey, tweet at us, let us know what you think should be different or changed. And Cups and challenges have started back up. And from what I've seen, it sounds like people are hitting record numbers for their first League Cups in some areas. So definitely does not seem like people are overly discouraged. It seems like the game is maybe as big as ever or growing as much as ever. And people are still showing up to the local tournaments at least to start off the season. Of course, we'll have to see when registration drops for the first couple of regionals, and if they're trying to be consistent with their like 8 weeks before the event happens, registration for Baltimore should be like coming up this week. But I don't know if that's something they're trying to stick
Was
to.
it 8 weeks or 6 weeks?
I think it was 8. I think that they after the first couple
I
of
want to
last
say it was six
season.
weeks.
We could find the Arcanine tweet. I want to say though, after the first couple were not 8 weeks, but after the first couple registrations open for the first couple tournaments, Arcanine was like, "We're working with the organizers or whatever to try and have registration open 8 weeks before the following majors throughout the rest of the season." I'm pretty sure it was 8. I'm pretty sure, and it felt like it was 8. Um, Last season, after the first couple, it felt like there were you registered for tournaments a decent amount in advance because you can't really go back and look at it, but actually, maybe you can go back and look at it. Maybe it is possible. Let me see here.
I'm going to see when we did our episode about the NAIC registration issues versus when NAIC was.
Yeah, yeah. Check that. I'm curious. I thought it was 8, but I'm trying to find it on. Well, you could just go to. Let me just go to like. I might have to dig a little
It
bit.
was definitely 6 weeks for NAIC, for what it's
6 weeks for
worth.
NAIC.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that it was 6 weeks, but it doesn't really matter that much. Regardless, like it'll be coming up in the next month or so, hopefully, Baltimore registration. And I'm very curious to see what numbers are going to do for that. My kind of first reaction when I saw the tournament announcements was I think regionals were going to take a hit as far as attendance goes. But my reaction after thinking about it more and kind of seeing the discussion happen online a little bit more is I really don't think it's going to be impacted because the majority of people just want to go play Pokemon and they enjoy competing at the tournament more than I think the general Twitterverse realizes that most people just are down to just go play Pokemon and have that competitive, environment exist, and that is like a good enough fill for them.
Yeah, one of the tweets I saw from somebody was like, I think it was like talking about like the League Cup numbers. It's like, well, it looks like the new invite system didn't affect anything. Turns out that the 400 players or so who actually go for their world's invite each year, who aren't like the super try hard players who are definitely going to go for it, are the only ones who this really affects. And I think I saw maybe it was Christian Mansky reply and be like, "Yep, imagine that." Like the small percentage of players that the new system affects doesn't actually affect attendance at events or something like that. Not to directly quote him, but it was something like that. I think is
Yeah,
what I
I'm
saw.
finding it. I saw that tweet too.
Yeah. So, and that is once I saw that, it made me kind of think about it a little bit harder. I was like, it really is not that many players because you have really try hard players who are always going to go for their invite no matter what, and they are going to do it again this season. They're going to try and get their invite again this season. There's the mass amount of casual players, which is like 90% plus of the players who show up to tournaments, casual, or regional majors or casual. Then there's like that 5% of players or 7% of players. The supercharged like the 3%. The 7% of players, that's like not that many players. It's even less than that. Probably it's like probably like 5% or less. And that's like 400, maybe 500 players. Some of them are still like half of them are still going to go try to get their invite. They're going to still try and be competitive throughout the rest of the season. And then the other, whatever, 300, 400 players are going to probably maybe play less, but they're probably still going to play some. But that's not a very big percentage. There were 76,000 players who got championship points last season. So 300, 400 is not a lot
And the
compared to the amount of
majority of those
people.
people probably don't even know what an international championship is, to be honest.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah,
They just show up to the
maybe not a
local.
majority, but like a
Yeah, I
good
wouldn't say majority.
of 76,000 people, dude. Like so many of them are just like people who show up to play in their Pokemon League and they got 8 points at a league challenge one time, which is sick.
They just show up and play Pokemon. Then I heard there's a Cupra challenge happening, a more competitive event happening next weekend. Then they show up and play in that and repeat.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's another number that I saw out there, and I was kind of surprised by it actually. It was like a how many players play in their first or only played in one the regional that they played in on the regional day, it being their first regional and only regional. It was like a pretty high percentage or like of people only play in one regional. So it's like the local bit player base that's showing up or more local player base that's showing up, regional to regional is like a very high percentage of the players who actually show up for each major tournament. So once again, it's just like
I think it was
oh,
Julian tweeted something like that, right?
yeah. So once again, it's like players just want to play Pokemon and hey, this major tournament is a drive away from me, so I'm going to go to it. And that's like the majority of players who actually play at these events. Oh yeah, but it was Rahul with the tweet right here. Seeing week one of the season's numbers for locals has been crazy. 80 plus person league cups, 40 plus person challenges. Pokemon is back. Person responded, but Rahul top 125 is going to destroy locals. And Edmund Nelson here, top 125 only impacts the 400 or so people in North America, US and Canada, who actually try to qualify for Worlds. So this year, probably only 200 people will seriously try to qualify. So this is really only impacting like what 200 people total. And Szymanski replied with, "Yeah, I completely agree." So yeah, and the thing is though, like most of those players, the more competitive players, are on Twitter. So that's like you're hearing those players the
Yeah.
loudest for sure. Um, Not to say that their disagreements with the system are definitely wrong, but like it's the definitely the fear of competitive Pokemon dying or taking a huge hit. I think was definitely very much over exaggerated.
We're definitely guilty of it too, of like X news comes out, a little bit of over exaggeration. I think, it's pretty X
Yeah.
card comes out. Oh, this is gonna break the game in the future, right? It happens in all levels, right?
I don't know. Dusknoir looks pretty broken. We'll see though. We'll see.
We will see indeed. Yeah, in general, what's the saying? Like time heals all, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
like the overreaction, if you just like give it a little time, let it marinate, think about it, keep your thoughts in your head, out of your mouth, in your head, and just sit on it for a little bit. Sometimes like it all comes back around to a more reasonable place.
Yeah, sleep on it. The saying "sleep on it for a night" or whatever is definitely
Yeah.
true. True to apply to life.
Let's move on here to our next segment. But before we do, we do have to give a shout out and thank you to our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, who, of course, makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming products on the market. We love them for their sleeves. Dragon Shield, of course, is celebrating their 25th anniversary, and they are doing so with the brand new blue silver dual matte anniversary special edition sleeves. They are available now. So if you want to pick them up, there will be a link in our description. And if you do pick up anything from Dragon Shield, be sure to use our code UEPOD. Get yourself 5% off. Support us as well. Normally, Azul and I talk about like slaves that we're using for upcoming tournaments and stuff, but there's not really any tournaments coming up, Azul. You gonna bring a
Yeah.
pack of sleeves with you for your League Cup this weekend?
No, I don't think I'm not even planning on bringing any of my cards with either. I'm not gonna bring any cards with either. Gonna just gonna roll up and have a good time, hang out, and do some casting. But yeah, shout out to Dragon Trail as always for being a sponsor of the podcast. I am looking forward to using some sleeves at Worlds, of course, but we're still a little ways away from that.
Got a little while for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to everyone's favorite segment of the cast. Guess that flavor text, where each week Azul or I picks a card, reads the flavor text from the card, the little Pokedex entry in the bottom corner, and has the other host try to guess which Pokemon we are reading from the card. What Pokemon is featured on the card we are reading. Boom, there we go. Wow. You'd think by episode 116 I'd kind of have a little bit more of a flow down of how this goes. We do keep score. Currently, I am ahead 25-20. It's been a couple weeks since someone got a point. Let's see if Azul can make it happen this week. Has the potential to earn 4 points if he doesn't use any lifelines. And there are 3 available lifelines for each lifeline he uses. He does lose a potential point. The lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name. And I've got a card picked out here, Azul. think it's definitely a little hard, but I think with a little bit of help, you can definitely get it.
All right. Hit me with it.
All right, here we go. It sometimes summons unknown powers and life forms here to this world from holes that lead to other worlds.
Okay. So I'm almost positive this is Dusknor or Dusclops. I just actually don't know which one it is. Usually based off the flavor text, I can kind of guess if it's basic stage one or stage two. But Dusclops used to be the final evolution of Dusknor, right?
It did. Dusknor didn't exist until the fourth generation of the games.
Yeah. So I think because like they sometimes give like more sinister uh flavor text to like the final forms of cards, but then Dusknor came out eventually. So I'm gonna have to go start with what stage the card is.
It is a stage two.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to go off of. I could go a little bit further. The attack name definitely could help me, but it would be one less point. So I'm locking in Dusknor.
Wow, locking it
Locked,
in?
locked in.
He feels confident. Well, and that confidence is definitely misplaced because it is
No,
not Dusknor. Not
dude, I was so
Dusknor at
confident.
all.
All right, well, give me the other. Let me see if I can get it. Give me the
Yeah, yeah. So the set the card is from is Celebrations. I thought this would help you because Celebrations is a pretty small set, and there's something pretty common about all of the cards in Celebrations.
or shiny, right?
Well, no, they're like all legendaries,
Oh,
like Groudon, Kyogre,
yeah, but what is a stage two legendary that
and its attack name is Lunar Pain.
Lunar Pain? That still sounds like it could be Dusknor, but it's not. So
Lunar Pain is
is
Lunala.
oh, that makes sense, dude. I was so confident that was Dusknor. I was so confident. Um, I think because I've definitely heard the flavor text before, and I just thought it was on Dusknor. I don't know. I maybe just read this card's flavor text before. Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't
So
want.
at tournaments and stuff, people come up to me all the time and say like, "Oh, I've got a flavor text for you." So that definitely could have happened at some point. Someone read a flavor text to
Maybe.
you or something.
Yeah, I had that
Yeah,
one.
I knew this one was gonna be kinda hard, but I thought with some lifelines you could get there, especially I was going to give you because that does have 2 attack names, Lunar Pain and Psychic Shot. I was going to give you Lunar Pain to try to help you, Lunar, Lunala. I thought I would maybe be able to make some connections here. I thought Celebrations might help you a little bit, but apparently
Mm,
that's not the case.
yeah, I don't think Celebrations was helping me at all there, to be honest. The Lunar Pain, maybe I could have got there if I had thought about it really hard. Connected Lunar Pain to Lunala. Um, but yeah, man, I was just super confident. I thought I had it locked on Dusknor. Is not the
Confidence
case.
misplaced. Yes, Celebrations. You can see literally all of the Pokemon in Celebrations: Ho-Oh, Reshiram, Kyogre,
Yeah.
Palkia, Zekrom, Xerneas, Mew.
I couldn't even put my I couldn't even remember what set Celebrations was. But if you told me it was the one with like all the Pikachus, then I would have remembered. But
Well, I mean, so many cards from this set were playable too, like Kyogre's
yeah.
here, Mew, Groudon, well, maybe not that one, but Eviltall, right? Eviltall.
This is a set with all like the old cards too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
I don't think I would because like these cards, I would never say were from Celebrations because they're from an original set, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, dude, Magikarp's flavor texts are always so bad. An underpowered, pathetic Pokemon.
It sounds like they're just like talking bad about him. They're not even it's not even like a flavor text. It's literally they're just trying to bully him.
This Pokemon is bad.
Like why would you even use the word pathetic to describe? Why is that
The
a
rest of this
descriptor
flavor
of a
text is
flavor
funny
text?
too. It may jump high on rare occasions, but never more than 7 feet.
That's it. All Magikarps are capped at 7 feet.
Never
And
more.
never more.
Well, Azul, I guess we'll have to wait for a couple weeks to see if you can get back on the board. It has now
Yeah.
been
A little
8
while.
weeks since you've gotten a point. 8 weeks?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've only gotten one in the last
8.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what's more than 0?
I mean,
1.
before you got points, it was 8 weeks as well. What are we talking about here?
Well, the past is the past, right?
Look into the future, and the future says 8 weeks so far.
What's the
Alright.
longest stretch we went with no one getting anything?
It looks like about
Episode 72 to
9.
79,
Let me see. I don't see.
89 to 81. Yeah,
That's
that's
what I
probably
saw.
it. Yeah,
9 weeks. Yeah, 9 weeks of no
dang.
points.
One of those
Sheesh.
in there was Dan TDM, so, it was really 8 weeks, right?
Yeah. Dan doesn't count.
All right. Well, let's move on to our final topic this week, and that is going to be talking about some of the new cards that have been revealed over the last few weeks. It's been a little while since we talked about some cards. I think you've done some YouTube videos on some of the new things that have revealed, right? I'm sure you've
Yeah.
talked about them on stream and stuff, but
Mhm.
thought it'd be good to cover them here. Um, I will say they did release this like trailer on YouTube. Pokebeach has a screenshot of it here, showcasing the like Sylveon EX and the Ceriluge EX, Ceriluge. I actually don't know how to say that Pokemon's name.
So is this because 'cause we've seen
Um,
this is how we've been, like, seeing cards get revealed to us before. So is this like an ad that ran on TV in Japan?
I don't know about TV. It was definitely on YouTube at least, right? But we
Okay.
still don't know what several of these cards are, right? There's, I think, an Eevee here with an ability we don't know. There are two A spec cards here we don't know. I don't
Another
think we
Mimikyu? Hey, he's back.
that's the same Mimikyu,
What
buddy.
are you back again. Never leaves.
Well, because this is a theme deck that these products are coming out in, so it's
Oh,
like showing the cards in the theme decks, I'm assuming.
yeah.
Um, and then there's some ball card here as
Ooh.
well, like a Terra ball, it looks like. So
Oh my gosh, dude, they're giving so much Terra so much gas. Kinda scary.
yeah,
This feels like it might be like a major meta shift set where, like, only the cards from that set are good. And then it's like,
that'd be
kinda
kind of
like
crazy. It might push out like at least the older, because like sometimes, right, like you remember when rotation happened this past year. Um, we talked on the podcast. We showed like a picture of the cards that were rotating out, and your reaction was, "That's it." You were like, "We're
yeah,
not even
literally.
losing that much." It's like by the time rotation happens, most of the cards that are leaving have been power crept out of the format, right?
Yep, yeah. Which feels bad. It does feel like that has happened less recently, though. Thinking about some, like, set releases like Charizard or Gardevoir, the only major decks that come out of those sets are Charizard and Gardevoir. We did get Pidgeot with the Charizard, of course. Um,
Is Gardevoir gonna survive without Refinement Curlia?
I mean, the ability is so good. It definitely could, right? You still have Drifloon,
You d
like, you still have
mm,
Screamtail,
you have no draw power.
get B-Barrel in there.
B-Barrel
Get
is gonna rotate too, buddy.
the Dunsparce, there we go.
This next
Oh,
rotation is definitely
Revavroom.
gonna hit a lot harder, I think.
Revavroom.
Revavroom,
Recharge the
honestly,
energy.
Revavroom's time could be now. That
Yeah,
is
that's
that is
it.
true.
'Cause,
It's
like,
just been
sometimes you
waiting
don't
for the right
realize
moment.
sometimes you actually don't realize how good some cards are until some of the cards rotate, and then you're like, "Oh, wait, this deck is still good."
Yeah,
Like Gardevoir this time around. People thought there were definitely some speculation around, is Gardevoir gonna be good without Shiny Arcana? The
right.
answer is yes, and it even has gotten, like, steadily more powerful, I think, set
Yeah, the
after
Monkey
set.
Dory is, like, insane, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's start here with this Kling Clang. This is a pretty interesting one. It's got the ability emergency spin once during your turn. If your opponent, excuse me, has a stage 2 Pokemon in play, you may play this card from your hand onto your bench. And then its attack for 2 colorless, Ultra Beam, 130 damage, discard all energy from this Pokemon. Now, at first glance, might not seem too good, but you think about what type it is. It's a metal type, okay. Think about what decks exist in the format. So Chimpao, Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur is a stage 2. You could put this guy directly into play, slap a DTE on it. It's doing 110 damage times 2 for weakness. Could one hit KO a Chimpao? Kind of a nice, a neat little tech, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely could be an answer for a deck for a Chien-Pao. That's all I really see from it right now. I guess, like, another thing it could be is just a one prize Pokemon. You think about decks like Arctina. Like, one of the flaws of Arctina
Reggie Drago.
was or Regidrago. One of the flaws of those kind of decks is that they don't have a one prizer, right? You have Radzard, and that's what we saw like Dalton do at that last major tournament in Latin America was played Arctina with Radiant Charizard because like one of the things that deck lacked was like a two prize or a one prize attacker to offset the prize trade. Um, So decks can do that with Klinklang if in certain matchups where the opponent has a stage 2 Pokemon. You can get access to a one prize Pokemon that allows you to like mess up the price trade for your opponent. But yeah, obviously, good answer to Chien Pao if you can set it up with whatever deck you're playing. And if Chien Pao's even a threat, which like we're currently it's not that big of a threat,
Right.
so
It's true.
would be another
Definitely
question.
true. And worth noting as well, I think these cards are all going to be in the set that comes out after Worlds as well.
Yeah,
So Japan is going to get these pretty soon, but it's going to be a while before we see
yeah.
these
I mean, they
cards.
get it literally in a week, 2 weeks. It's
Yeah,
soon. Yeah, it is soon. It's like a couple weeks from now, and then we don't get it till September 1st or something. Um, so we're still like a month and a half away. They get it in a couple weeks.
we've got Gravity Stone here, a Pokemon tool card. While the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, each player's active Pokemon's retreat cost is one colorless more.
Yeah, so this card's kind of scary to be honest. It can turn like any Pokemon into a pseudo block lax. Like imagine Pidgeot control, but all you have is 4 Pidgeots in play with a stone on them each. And then you just bring something up and then do like control things while you're like trapping one of your opponent's active Pokemon. That's kind of
Yeah.
annoying. That card definitely seems solid.
Yeah, I could see it being pretty good, to be honest. We've got a one prize Raging Bolt here, 130 HP basic Pokemon. It is an ancient card as well, 3 retreat cost, dragon type, and its first attack is Lightning Storm for a lightning and a fighting energy. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 30 damage to that Pokemon for each energy on this Pokemon. And then for lightning fighting and a colorless, just a clean 130 damage. You talked about the value of having a one prize Pokemon. That's one of the things that the Raging Bolt deck kind of lacks right now. You got the Sandy Shocks, which is pretty decent, right? Is this ever better? Gives you maybe a few more options, especially once Manaphy rotates, maybe looking towards the future a little bit.
The thing is, I think it's like too energy inefficient on the Lightning Storm. I actually think where this card is like better is in a Regidrago deck. Because it's easier to get more energy on your Regidrago. But the Kyurem also comes out in Shrouded Fable, which is just a better sniping Pokemon in Regidrago. Um, so I don't think Raging Bolt actually finds a home in anything, to be honest. We've got a lonely Raging Bolt, one prizer here.
There's this Iron Boulder here, 140 HP, future Pokemon, Psychic type. And it's got this attack, Adjusted Horns, 170 damage. If you don't have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, this attack does nothing. So you do have to match hand size to your opponent, but there have been cards in the past that have had this requirement that have been pretty good. There's
And
plenty
Mega
of ways
Prime.
to fix your hand size in the game. You could literally play a judge and then you both automatically have the same hand size. Granted, then you can't play any other cards, but yeah, it is a future Pokemon, so it has access to all the future support that exists, right?
Yeah. So the biggest thing would be like, can you match your opponent's hand size consistently? The energy cost is like, it's not that much, right? Especially because you have like Reboot Pod.
Yeah.
The damage numbers could get pretty decent with this card. I don't even know if you'd want to play this with Iron Crowns. You could just play it with Maridon and then like 4 of these and pods and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, knocking
Um,
out like Raging Bolts and Ogre Pawns doesn't seem
true.
too
Some
bad, right?
That's true. I see. Yeah, you can't get to the big numbers like KO Charizard and Dragapults and stuff like that. But I guess you probably would want to be able to match the smaller stuff, which would only cost like a tool plus 2 to 3 Iron Crowns. That's still a lot of 2 prizes to put in play and to even run. But I guess maybe you'd have to go that route to begin with, to be honest.
Yeah.
I could see it. But yeah, it definitely is like another piece for we're still getting ancient and future cards, which is interesting. Like they're still giving them to us. Nothing super ridiculous so far though. They haven't given us like a ton.
There's a new Orthworm EX. It's got the ability Pummel Back. If this Pokemon is in the active and is damaged by an opponent's attack, put 2 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon for each metal energy on this Pokemon. And actually, Twan tweeted a correction here. It does not need to be in the active spot for the ability to trigger. So literally, when this thing just takes damage, whatever hit it, you put 2 damage counters on it for each metal energy on this Pokemon. And then this attack for 4 colorless Rock Tomb, 150. The defending Pokemon can't retreat during your next turn. And Twan did tweet out this picture, which is pretty funny to think about all these Orthworms with all these energies on them, dizzying spin, 10 damage to everything, and then that's a lot of damage coming back to the Spinda.
Yeah, that spin is not surviving that. Yeah, the Orthworm probably, I don't know, maybe a cool meme deck, but I don't think much besides that for the Orthworm. Has there even been a good Orthworm card? Really? There hasn't, right? I don't mean maybe it won't get one. It's one of those Pokemon that might just never get a. They always have an ability. I feel like though.
The one, what set is this one from? From Paldea Evolved. This one I think is pretty good in GLC, which obviously is not standard, but 130 HP, and then its ability, it gets plus 100 HP if it has 3 or more metal energy on it. Its attack's not that bad. 130 snipe, set some things up. It's a tanky guy, doesn't get knocked out, right?
Yeah,
That's about
still not
it.
great.
And then yeah, scrolling up here, we do have a few more cards. We've got a Lacey supporter card. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 4 cards. If your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, draw 8 cards instead. So giving us a little bit of that Roxanne effect, but not as powerful as far as like a comeback type card, right? Dropping your opponent's hand size, giving you some cards. But shuffle draw 8 is a very powerful effect. Maybe a little too limited here though, as far as when you can use this, right?
Yeah, it might be like decent in like a one prize deck, but that's about it that I can think of. Like it might be a little bit stronger than something like, but I don't even know if it really is something like a Cynthia's Ambition, where it's like draw until you have 5, but if they take in a knockout, you draw until you have 8. But you can use it in the early game as well. So if you're like playing a deck that for some reason, like, because we used to see Cynthia's Ambition be played in like Rapid Strike Malamar
Right.
a little while ago, and that card is still legal. It still exists. So this
I feel
might
like
be
I
like,
see a deck list pop up with it every once in a while, but
yeah,
never super
just
competitively.
there's not a lot of one prize decks that would like function around it the way it does. So yeah, not great.
We've got a Doxbun EX, 250 HP Psychic type stage 1 Pokemon EX, weak to metal, 2 retreat cost. It's got the ability Full Meal Time. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may heal all damage from each of your evolution Pokemon. If you do, discard all energy from each Pokemon healed in this way. Its
Yeah, so I
attack,
wonder.
2
Oh,
colorless,
go ahead.
130 damage. Your opponent's active is now confused.
This is what actually I was thinking about this card in Pidgeot control. Get your Pidgeot on the active. They punch it. You Dox Bun heal it, and then you Turo your Dox Bun and put the Fido back down,
Right.
and then you counter catch something up and you put your stone on it. So like you try and trap something in the active, and when they finally make their way to the active to punch your bird, heal it again, repeat, maybe, possibly something.
Yeah, you gotta get
Sure.
down the double dough.
Fido. If they Gust carry your Fido, just go another Fido on that turn. They didn't punch your bird
Oh,
that
true,
turn.
true, true.
Yeah, so I don't know, some kind of like stall control deck. Like I think it combos well with Pidgeot. Pidgeot's pretty big as far as the HP number goes. If you're not playing up with something that can one hit KO you, Fido could heal you.
Do you still, stand by your thoughts of the discussion we had when Obsidian Flames came out, of which of the 2
Oh,
cards
Pidgeot
would
versus
be,
Cleffa.
yeah, Pidgeot versus Cleffa, which card would be more played by the
I
time
mean,
they rotated from
currently
standard?
we got there definitely is some. It's looking good for Pidgeot so far, but so far it's really like Charizard's been carrying the majority of the weight. There's Pidgeot control as well, and it's playing
Cleffa
the
has made its way
Dragapult.
into more things for sure.
Yeah, Cleffa's. I mean, Cleffa made his way into Charizard too, so it's like Cleffa's there. That we definitely need to see. I definitely put Pidgeot in the front running. I'm not gonna lie, it's in the front running right now, but Cleffa can make a comeback.
Mm, definitely could. Alright, a new A-Spec here, and it is an A-Spec Stadium card.
Charizard.
Vernable tree. Don't know that word. It'll probably be something different in English. Once during each player's turn, they may search their deck for a stage 1 Pokemon that evolves from one of their basic Pokemon in play and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. If they do, they can then search their deck for a stage 2 Pokemon that evolves from that same Pokemon and evolve it. Then the player shuffles their deck. You can't use this effect if it's your first turn, and you can't choose a basic that was played this turn. This card seems pretty powerful.
Yeah, this card definitely seems very, very good. Actually, one card that I forgot that can help you with this one as well, because like the problem with this card is like finding it. There is a Colress coming out that says search your deck for a stadium and a special energy card, so that would be able to combo with this. Also, Force Sealstone could find this, so you could still play Arvin in some kind of stage 2 deck, and then your Force Sealstone finds your tree, or Candy Pidgeot. Pidgeot finds the tree sets up your Dragapult or your Charizard or I don't know
Yeah.
whatever. I guess you don't get the Charizard ability in that sequence there, so it'd have to be something else. But yeah, this card seems incredibly powerful in stage 2 decks where you have multiple stage 2s. Or I guess just multiple evolutions in general. But also it's like a great boost of consistency for those kind of decks. And like I don't know. I'm not against decks with stage twos and stage ones getting some consistency boost here, to be honest. So I'm excited for this card to see what kind of decks that can be played around it that play a lot of evolutions.
Yeah, you do. It is your A spec, right? So you would have to be giving up on Unfair Stamp or Prime Catcher, right? One of the more in a vacuum powerful A spec cards. Like if you're playing Dragapult, Pidgeot, now you can't play Neo Upper Energy, right? Is that worth it? Is maybe the question.
Yeah, definitely. So that's like the trade off consistency versus those powerful turns. Because obviously you could just draw into like candy double stage two or a stage one plus a candy stage two, but
Yeah.
tree helps you get there way more consistently for sure. And if it sticks in play, well, if it's I guess your opponent gets the thing is like your opponent can use it as well going
Yep.
into their turn after you use it.
Yep.
But if it sticks in play for another turn, you get another use out of it. You're probably in a pretty good spot.
Hold up. Lugia V Star, unidentified fossil, get into Archeops, use Lugia, discard the stadium. You get 3 Archeops in play.
Yeah. Or what about just setting up Archeops that way? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool, huh?
Wait, does that work like that? What is? Yeah, it would, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Ooh, dude, Archeops might be a whole new thing with this card. That's actually a really cool idea there. You could
Mm.
play it like you could play like a one prizer deck too, because you only have to play the Lugia to
Yeah,
get it in
you
play.
wouldn't have to be as aggressive to get your Archeops in play. Just literally thick Archeops plus Chinchino, the
Yeah,
deck.
the deck. I could see it honestly. That could be pretty sick, actually. The tree making moves.
Here we go. We've got Galvantula here. Galvantula EX, 260 HP, Lightning type, stage 1 Pokemon, weak to fighting, 1 retreat cost. Its first attack, Upper Thread for a Lightning and a colorless, deals 110 damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX or Pokemon V, this attack does 110 more damage. So 220, respectable damage output for sure. Does KO a lot of basic EX and Pokemon V. Then we've got the Fulgurite for a grass, lightning, and fighting energy, 180 damage. Discard all energy from this Pokemon, and then during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand.
Yeah. So this card, on first read, doesn't really look that strong. We are getting a lot of Terra support. We get the Stadium, the Tool card that reduces the attack cost of our Terra Pokemon by 1. Item Lock, doing that much damage with Item Lock, though, pretty good. But the question is, can you consistently do it? But as soon
Yeah.
as you read the Joltik, that's when it's like all of a sudden becomes a possibility. I feel like this Joltik is like um insane.
Yeah, maybe one of the most powerful attacks on an evolving basic ever, to be
Yeah.
honest. And that's like really not that big of an exaggeration. It's a basic Pokemon, has 30 HP, 1 retreat, it's weak to fighting. Doesn't really matter if you sneeze on this thing, it's getting KO'd. And its attack for 1 colorless energy is Charging Jolt. Search your deck for up to 2 basic grass energy and up to 2 basic lightning energy, and attach them to your Pokemon in play in any way that you want. Then shuffle your deck. I mean, this is like energy acceleration on an attack, unlike like if this thing
Costs a
had said
colorless
search your
too.
if yeah, the fact it's for a colorless energy. If this thing had said 1 basic grass energy and 1 basic lightning energy, you would see that and be like, "All right, that seems pretty decent." And that would have like that's like more acceleration than most Pokemon would ever see as an attack. The fact that this thing pulls 4 energy cards out of the deck for a
Yep.
colorless energy on an evolving basic, this thing is crazy.
Yeah. So I could actually see the Galvantula actually being a deck. You could also play this in other stuff as well. I don't know what else you'd play this with. Dude,
Yo, you know what you could play this with?
I saw people talking about this card and like referencing it to, yo, that card is gonna make Turbo Raging Ball insane. I was like, what do you think Raging Ball currently is? Like, it attacks turn one and one it KOs your active versus using a Joltik to put a bunch of energy in play.
Yeah.
Dude, also, I hate with that in mind though. I hate the when people call future hands turbo hands. I was like, that's not you're not going that fast. You're using Maridon for a
Yeah.
turn to set up an Iron Hands here. What is turbo about this at all?
You know what card this would be really good with?
What?
I'll
Yeah.
give you $5 if you can guess what card I'm about to put on the screen.
Um, man, I have Zero Aura VMAX.
Nope. Tapu Bulu GX, baby.
What? Why are you bringing up Tabu
Move over,
Bulu?
Vikavolt. Get
No,
the
that would be
Bulu
bad.
in there.
That is literally like saying you should play Joltik in Raging Bolt.
Yeah, true. I just thought it was a good meme.
Yeah. No Bulu. It would synergize that. Get the lightning. I guess the lightning energy never mattered for Bulu. You just kinda had to play because that's how
Hey,
like Vault
also
worked.
for the GLC heads out there, this
Oh,
card's pretty
this
crazy with
card's
Amazing Rare
insane.
Raikou.
This guy might have to be banned in GLC. I don't know. Like, even not even with Raikou. If they banned Raikou, I think that 4 energy on turn 1, that's pretty crazy. The whole squad setup.
I mean, normally these type of attacks are super limited, right? Like Volcanion. Remember that card was super good. Hang on,
The
I'm
one
sorry, I'm
that when you
having a
went
hard.
second.
Yeah, you had to go second. So for a fire energy, search your deck for a fire energy card attached to one of your Pokemon. If you go second and it's your first turn, search your deck for 3 fire energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon. Like this card was super good, and it
Yeah,
got 3 energy out of the deck. Little Joltig isn't as restricted. I mean, you could argue it is restricted because it only gets grass and lightning energy,
yeah.
but it's 4 energy cards. Like this card is nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and it doesn't even have to be with Galvantula. You could play this with other stuff for sure as well. It just gets so many energy into play. There's definitely gonna be some combos, but Galvantula does seem like a pretty good partner for sure.
I definitely think there's a decent shot that this card just, like, on paper, looking at it in comparison to other cards that have existed throughout the history of the game is crazy, right? But, I think there is definitely a chance that this, like, comes out, and then, like, with all this other stuff that's existing in the format, maybe it's just not good, right? And
Yeah,
it might take a while for this thing to sneak in somewhere, but I
the
would be
attack is
very
still good.
surprised if
Like the
this
attack is still
thing
nuts.
never saw any sort of competitive play. Like, it's just so
Yeah.
many energy cards.
Yeah, yeah. And like we said, other lightning and grass Pokemon eventually come out. You just choose second, turn 1 Joltik, put 4 energy in play. Like, it doesn't have to be with Galvantula. It'll definitely find a home eventually. They're not gonna stop printing grass and lightning Pokemon, so.
I'm gonna skip the Ledian here, and we'll go on to Kofu.
Hold
You want me to
on.
read Ledian?
Well, okay. Yeah, go ahead, read the Letty in here.
All right, so it's a stage 1 grass type, 90 HP, weak to fire, free retreat, and it has the ability Star Pattern. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has 90 HP or less remaining with their active.
So you could play this in some kind of sniping deck. Greninja EX, Radiant Greninja, brings up Manaphy, canceling Cologne, allows you to snipe while not having to use a Gust for the turn. That's the only thing, and it's like you can Poffin for the basic. So if you're doing it like a Lost Zone deck, Greninja EX deck, like those play Poffin, you can pretty easily get the basic setup into play, and then you have like this extra threat potential on board. So
Regidrago, Kyurem, canceling Cologne.
yeah, yeah,
Ah,
like it's not that much space to fit this thing into your deck, you know. So I think there might be some potential there
all
for
right,
some kind of shenanigans.
you've convinced me. It'll be decent maybe for a few months, and then Manaphy will rotate, and then it won't matter.
Wait, does Manaphy rotate with? Well, we'll probably get Manaphy 3, Mew
Maybe. I
number
mean, there was a
3.
while that bench barrier didn't exist, remember, and everyone
Oh,
freaked out.
no, but Japan always had bench barrier. We just didn't have bench barrier. So now that we're locked in with Japan's format,
Is that accurate?
yeah, they got Manaphy right as we lost Mew. We lost Mew and had to wait for
That
Manaphy.
I don't think that's accurate, dude. Those cards
I
came
am
out
almost
so far
positive.
apart.
No, for us it did, but they got it immediately. They got Manaphy immediately. I'm pretty sure I'm not misremembering that. Because why would I remember that?
I don't know, you
Someone in
misremember stuff all the time.
someone in the comment section confirmed Japan immediately got Manaphy as they lost Mew. We lost Mew and then eventually got Manaphy.
We've got Kofu here, a new supporter card. Put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you do, draw 4 cards.
I feel like this could have said draw 5 and it would still be bad. But I don't know. 5 is it's a decent amount of cards, right?
Yeah, 5 would probably make it pretty good. 4 is like
How good is pretty good? Like that would it be better than research on average? Probably not, right?
Mm, maybe. I mean, it probably depends. Like, if it's a rare candy type deck, right, where you want to keep
Yeah.
certain cards a lot of the time, right?
I mean, I feel like this would be a way cooler card to like consistently exist than research. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be against that
more
personally.
decisions that
Yeah.
have to be made, right, which would be cool.
Yeah.
I have no idea why this is pictured, but we've got a Veluza here.
Oh, if you read Twan's tweet, I think he's just trolling because the attack has like no effects, right?
Oh, still working on the translations for the basic. Might take some time to get the effects right. There's no effects. Okay.
There's no effects.
Anyway, Veluza here, 130 HP, basic water type Pokemon, weak to lightning, to retreat. It's got the attack ready to cook. This Pokemon's attack costs one colorless less for each Kofu card in your discard pile.
Wait,
And then,
Is Kofu a cook?
yes. And then four colorless energy, Sonic Edge, 110 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effect on your opponent's active Pokemon.
Is there a way to find supporters out of your deck more aggressively?
Secret box.
So not really.
I don't
All right.
think so.
Yeah.
Luminion.
Yeah. So the hard part would be getting all your Kofus into the discard pile. But if you could find them, I don't know, maybe the Crabominable Veluza, how do you say it?
Veluza.
Veluza deck could be okay.
And there is the Crabominable here, which you mentioned, 160 HP, stage 1 water type Pokemon, 3 retreat cost, weak to metal. Its ability is ready to cook. This Pokemon's attack costs 1 colorless less for each Kofu in your discard pile. And then its attack for a water and 4 colorless energy. Haymaker, 250 damage. This Pokemon can't use Haymaker during your next turn.
Do you think Ready to Cook will be its ability in English?
Oh, definitely. Dude, they're all about the puns here, man. Honestly, it might be let him cook. I wouldn't be
No
surprised.
shot. I doubt that. That would be incredible though. I would love that. I would love the ability to be called Let Him Cook. That'd be
Let
sick.
him cook. Oh, it would be so good.
That
It
would be
would not
sick.
be that big of a shock to me, honestly.
Yeah, I'm down for
They
it. I'm
they
down for
love
it.
their meat. Dude, I mean, the, Iron Hands attack is literally amp you very much, like, thank you very much. We've got a Zeraora here.
You can skip.
Yep. We've got the Cinderace EX, another stellar Pokemon, 320 HP, stage 2 fire type. It's got that Terra attribute. And then it's 2 attacks here. Flare Strike, Fire, 2 colorless, 280 damage. This Pokemon cannot use Flare Strike during your next turn. And then Garnet Volley for a Fire Fighting Darkness Energy. It does 180 damage anywhere. It's weak to water, has free retreat.
Not really a volley if it's just one. Does a volley imply multiple? A volley
Yeah.
of blows. What are we volleying with this one Pokemon? We're hitting him 180
Damage
times, maybe.
from your Pokemon to the bench.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first attack actually isn't bad, right? Like
Yeah.
works with double turbo. It's fire type. Works with Magma Basin.
It's a lot of damage.
280. A lot of HP. It doesn't need the biggest thing I think like with these kind of cards is it usually feels like it's a stage 2 and it like needs like a stage 1 to actually like feel like it works. But this card specifically, it doesn't. Magma Basin and double turbo and you're swinging. So maybe there's something here. It seems like you're not quite getting enough done though for a stage 2. Compared to something like Charizard, it's like, does this really compete? It doesn't really feel like it does.
We've got Drifblim here, stage 1, 130 HP psychic type Pokemon. For 1 psychic energy, its attack. Everyone explode now. 50 damage for each of your Drifloon and Drifblim in play. This attack also does 30 damage to each of your Drifloon and Drifblim.
Yeah, so really efficient attack, potentially 200 damage. Problem, of course, is what you need something else with this, and if you're attaching to this every single turn, how are you ever doing more than just 200 damage each turn? You could play it with like Zatu. Zatu could get your Psychic in play. You're damaging your bench. You could get Monkey Dory involved, maybe. And then, of course, there is like the Drifloon that people play in guard for each damage counter on it. It does 30 damage times the amount of damage counters. But then you have to like play Bravery Charms and stuff like that. So I don't know. It seems like a probably just a meme deck. Probably just a meme deck.
We've got the Antique Root Fossil. It's a basic, just like the other fossil cards. It's an item card. You can play it as a basic Pokemon. Can discard it at any time. It has 60 HP, but this one's ability here, while this Pokemon is in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's basic Pokemon cost 1 colorless more. There was that Goomy that existed that was like kind of played in stuff to slow things down every once in a while. Remember?
Yeah, what was that played in? I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what people played it in. Well, that was during COVID, right? When that was
I
made
think
its way into
slow
decks?
down the welder decks, right?
Maybe. Yeah, you just push it up turn 1 and that's like you try to yeah.
So this is cool because it's a item card, so you can find it with things like Arvin, Irida, right? So if there's a reason in the format to try to slow down by a turn, you can do that. And then when you're ready to move it, you just discard it, right?
Yeah. Just get rid of it. So yeah, I guess you could, yeah, you could use it to I mean, I guess you could push it up there against like something like an Iron Hands. Take away the ability for like an Iron Hands to swing on that first turn or something. Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, it does get just it is a fossil, so you can just get rid of it quickly. I like the idea.
You can use it with Palafin, Irida to set up your Palafin stuff. Send this thing to the active spot. Send your Palafin to the bench. Discard this thing. Boom. Palafin EX to the active. Zero to hero, baby.
There we go. You've solved the chip. Palafin is good. Now, if
We've
only it
got
worked on PTCG Live so we could test it.
we've got Deluxe Bomb, new A spec tool card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and takes damage from an opponent's Pokemon's attack, put 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. If you put any damage counters in this way, discard this card.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. It's a lot of damage, but getting something like this to like actually work is always tough, right? Getting it to actually like trigger your opponent to actually attack that Pokemon without removing it. And then from there, that's it. It's gone, right? I guess you could recover it with Silene is our only way to recover tools right now.
Roseanne's.
Roseanne's. Okay, we got Roseanne's. We gotta go find it again. So I don't know. It doesn't seem great. Usually cards like this, just in general, are not great. So as your A spec, doesn't seem worth that spot to be honest.
Are we gonna get to the point where we've just got too many A spec options in the format that are like all good cards?
I mean, I don't see that as like a negative to be honest.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that. I'm down
not a
with that.
bad thing.
Yeah. A specs are yeah, the A specs have been pretty good so far. Been pretty good, pretty cool. And I guess like the biggest thing is all like Prime Catcher doesn't feel like overwhelming. Like we all not we all, like some people thought it would be.
Oh, were the Sylveon and Cyrilege not in there? I guess let's go over to Poke Beach to read those.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple more stellar Pokemon here. We've got the Sylveon EX, 270 HP Psychic type stellar Pokemon. It's got that Terra attribute, and it's got the Magical Charm attack for a Psychic into colorless energy. It deals 160 damage during your opponent's next turn. Attacks from the defending Pokemon do 100 less damage. And then Angel Light for the second attack. Water, Lightning, Psychic. Choose two of your opponent's benched Pokemon and shuffle them and all cards attached to them into your opponent's deck. If you used Angel Light during your last turn, this attack fails.
Yeah. So this one actually seems okay because of the Angelite attack, right? That's like the big thing here. It is a Terra Pokemon, so there's Terra support, the tool card, the stadium. You could play this with Glamora EX. It limits their bench down to 3, and then you get rid of 2 more. It shouldn't be hard to combo this thing with like an Iron Bundle or a Counter Catcher to like shuffle their active back into the deck. So the question from there is like, what do they have left at that point? And then that's where something like the Magical Charm might be able to get more effect. Magical Charm is a little bit different than something like the Gudra V Star. Gudra V Star's effective damage reduction is on itself, whereas with the Sylveon, it's on your opponent's active Pokemon. So if your opponent has like two attackers set up, you punch one, they switch to the bench to the other one, they get to do maximum damage with that new attacker. So, but if you limit how many attackers they have in play, maybe they don't have that flexibility anymore.
Reminds me a little bit of the Plea GX from Sylveon GX, which was a pretty strong card back in the day. I mean, there's so many good setup decks in the format, right? Like imagine just popping your opponent's Charizard and Pidgeot right back into their deck. They're down 2 rare candies and then all
Yeah.
their evolutions are back in the deck, right?
Yeah, then take a turn off and then do it again, right? Like if you're not wanting KOing these things and putting the pressure on, they can just take a turn off from Angelite and then Angelite on the next turn.
Could definitely see it being good.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Cyrilege EX, 270 HP fire type Pokemon. Once again, it is a Terra, it is a Stellar. and it's got the attack Abyssal Flames 30 plus. This attack does 20 more damage for each basic energy in your discard pile that is used for just one fire energy. And then Amethyst Rage for a fire, psychic, and metal energy, 280 damage. Discard all energy from this Pokemon.
I like this card more for its first attack.
I agree.
Um, and a couple cards you can combo with it. So we get the Stadium that gives us access to 8 bench Pokemon if we have a Terra Pokemon in play. There's a Drillbur that says search your deck. If when you put it on your bench, its ability says search your deck for 3 fighting energy and discard them. So that's plus 60 damage. I mean, we could put 4 Drillburs in play and really start ramping up the damage. And that would like thin out our deck aggressively as well. There's also a Rapidash that is a stage 1 Pokemon. Discard a fire energy from our hand. Our fire Pokemon do 30 more damage to our opponent's active Pokemon that turn. So those are a couple cards that could work with this card. And the card's super efficient, right? Fire energy and you're attacking. So
Yeah, we got to draw
um,
cards.
yeah, discard energy, Rumbling Engine, Reverum. Radiant Greninja obviously combos really well with it. Discard energy, draw 2 cards, gets the energy in your discard pile. So yeah, I don't know. The what is it, Ceru Ledge? Um, I like it. I like it. That first attack seems like it's got the potential for sure. Specifically with Drillbur, 4 Drillbur, turn 2,
Yeah.
swinging.
I agree. It seems like the best way to go about this would be focusing on that first attack.
Yeah, the second attack isn't like bad, but
No.
you have to get 3 different energy types on it when you could just plop down a couple Drillburs and you're almost doing as much damage at that point. So commit to the Drillbur and
Yeah, I don't even know if Drillbur is necessarily the way, but I mean, I don't
we're
know.
locking
I
in
guess
Drillbur.
it is a lot of damage. That
I
is
mean
quite a bit of damage for sure.
if you were playing anything right now and a card said bench a Drillbur do plus 60 damage, like
It's a lot of deck space, though, right? I think
it
it'd be a
is.
lot different if, like, those fighting energy were also what Cerulege used to attack, right?
Yep,
Because
that is
now we got
true.
to find a fire energy and also, not draw too many of our fighting energy, discard them from the deck before we can find them, right?
That's fair, that's fair. I just wanna play the Drillbur, to be honest.
Bro,
There's
you got to go
actually
play some Ting Lu.
there's one more card I wanna mention here on Poke Beach that, Tuan didn't translate. It's the Togedemaru.
Hmm.
Um, should be able to find it. Scroll down. There we go, yeah, Togedemaru. This card I actually think is really, really good. Its attack, shocking chance for a lightning energy. If your opponent has exactly 1 prize card remaining, your opponent's active is now paralyzed.
Anytime something automatically paralyzes, I've said this many times, it's the best status condition in the game. So anytime something can just automatically paralyze your opponent, it is worth remembering.
Yeah. I mean, can you just imagine, like, you go down to 1 prize card, your opponent's board is abysmal, they still have, like, 2 prize cards left, and then they play down Togedemaru, attach a lightning energy, and then they sit there and shocking chance you for, like, 7 turns in a row to KO your Charizard EX or whatever. Like, this would be more than that, but, yeah, they can just sit there, and you can't do anything. If you don't have a switch card, or you're out of switch cards, like, or you don't play switch cards, Togedemaru just wins eventually. I don't know. I think this card in like control decks potentially, especially
I
like the way like Pidgeot control decks are built, where it's like kind of a attacking slash disruption deck more so than anything.
using
Um,
Eerie or Misfortune Sisters to attack the switch cards.
yeah, or like even like if you play this in like you could play this with Radiant Alakazam, right? And you paralyze their active at the end of the game, move 2 damage off, and you can make a comeback from like 0 prize cards taken to drawing all 6 while you paralyze lock something. And if like in the early game, your whole game plan is just get rid of their switch cards through, yeah, like you said, Eerie, Misfortune Sisters, or just trying to trap stuff in the active and be annoying and force the switch cards out of them so they can play the game, then Togedemaru can sweep at the end.
Get that Gravity Stone in there on your Pidgeots.
Yep. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. The Dox Bun Pidgeot Togedemaru control deck. It's happening.
Dude, what a host of characters that would be.
That's a squad right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this card's really good for sure. Like the attack's just good. Not like it's gonna be like not every deck is gonna play a one of Togo tomorrow, one of Lighting Energy kind of good, but like it's definitely something to remember exists. I think we'll definitely see this pop up and be like a deck like loses a matchup, and then all of a sudden you just add in Togedemaru, and the deck like doesn't play switch cards or something, and it allows you to like all of a sudden make it from a bad matchup to a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than likely for that card to see play would be in something like you were talking about, like a control deck, and then or like in a specific meta. If you're like in an anti-meta deck, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
X deck doesn't play switch cards. We can counter that, right? The
Mhm.
the thing about that though as well is like if your opponent knows you have this thing in your deck, like they can try to play around it, right? So uh yeah, I don't know. It's definitely strong for sure.
Big Togedemaru fan.
Classic Azul. Big fan of the rat. All right. Well, I think that's all we've got this week, Azul. Any other cards we want to look at, or does that cover it?
No, I think that's the only other one I want to mention that, didn't pop up on, Twan's Twitter or was one of the EXs. But, yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about those other cards that were revealed in that trailer next week for sure. So some more new ace specs to talk about next week, which I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have plenty more cards to talk about in the coming weeks. But yeah, for now we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna head over to our Patreon for that bonus episode. But if you do enjoy the podcast, please be sure to leave us a like, review, rating, subscribe, comment. Did I forget anything? Follow? I don't know. All those things. Really appreciate it. Those things help us out a ton, help more people discover the podcast, what we're doing over here. And yeah, thanks for the kind words and comments as always. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening with us, best place to do it is over on X. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie, Azul at Azul_GG. And then you can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
Yeah, appreciate the support as always. Catch y'all next week. Looking at anyone playing any cups and challenges, I guess, over the weekend, or I guess throughout the week. Some people have them on like weekdays as well. But we'll see y'all next Wednesday, 7 a.m. Eastern.